Welcome to SerialPodcastNine.
All right. Do the intro.
All right. I'm Gerard Peralta.
And I'm Kevin Peterson.
And I'm Ryan Benoit. And this is SerialPodcastNine.
All right. So tonight we have a special guest. He's a good friend of ours. He's a car guy. And we've known him for quite some time. And his name is, I can say your name, obviously, right?
Yeah, you can say my name. It's fine. Whichever version
Say his
you want.
name.
Yeah.
His
Say my
name's Gordon.
name, say my name. No one is around you.
It's our good friend Gordon Breakwell.
Everybody.
Hi, Gordon.
Hi.
Hello.
And on Instagram, what's your name on Instagram?
I think it's
BeWell33.
BeWell_33.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Sorry,
right.
I'm not into the handles too much. I got too much stuff going on. So yeah.
Okay, so Gordon's a car guy. He's a good friend of ours. And today's episode is a bit of a serious or more serious one, I guess. Who wants to introduce tonight's episode?
Tonight we're going to talk about mental health. Mental health affects everybody. Like a lot of people are going through a lot of stuff that you probably don't realize because maybe they're not talking to you about it or sharing, but yeah, everybody is going through their own stuff.
Yeah, basically kind of same thing. Like everyone, I mean, this is a car podcast, but like we're still regular ass people, right? I mean, we're just all into cars. So it basically, like Kevin said, it affects everybody. It could be related to your car, it could be related to your life, it could be related to outside influences, it could be related to all sorts of stuff. So basically tonight we're just going to talk to our friend Gordon. Who maybe
It sounds like we're having an intervention. Just
No, we're not having an intervention.
Oh, no.
It sort of does, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
use whatever we want.
First and foremost,
Yeah.
Gordon, what type of car do you drive?
Let's start things off real
Okay,
light.
Yeah, let's fucking.
Softball it in there.
Okay, so we'll softball. I'm actually really excited to be on the podcast. I listened to every episode. You guys are awesome. So thank you very much for having me on. Yeah. So currently I drive a 1999 Nissan Stagea RS4S, manual turbo, lots of fun, makes me happy every time I get into it. Basically I got the car through Gerard, so that was nice. And that's kind of my happy place outside of playing hockey for the most part.
Cool. And does your car have an R34 front end?
No, it is not, because I don't want one. So I hope everyone converts to an R34 front end, so I get all the S2 fronts that I could ever want.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, does your car have that cool lip? What is it, a Tiana lip or something like that? Is that?
No, it's supposed to.
Why doesn't it have that lip, Gordon? Why? Tell us why.
Am I throwing people under the bus? Is that?
Yeah.
You don't have to name names, but we can always remove anything.
Okay, yeah. So one of my really, really good friends, Gerard, found me this lip, and it was coming from Japan. And he's like, "Yep, don't worry about it. I got it. It's coming. It's going to be here." Was it 8-9 months later? The container shows up. I don't pry on it too much, and I'm like, "So, did the lip come?" He's like, "Oh my god, let me find out for you." And then like 2 days go by and calls me back. He goes, they never bought it. I'm like, oh, okay. So no cool lip for me.
It sounds like that was one of the trials and tribulations, really.
It was pretty sad moment, Kevin. Not gonna lie.
And so, Gordon, how did it make you feel when I told you
the lip
let you
wasn't-
down?
Yeah.
that the lip was not there? You know, you'd been so excited for so long, and I said, you know what, man, I'm going to get you this lip and all this stuff. And then I said, you know what, Gordon, I'm really sorry, but the lip just isn't on the container.
Yeah, I mean, on top of the disappointment, it just felt like a betrayal. Just like got me so hyped and excited for my car to at least look a little better this season, and then it just got shattered in one phone call.
Who'd you turn to confound in these trying times?
I'm pretty sure.
Who is your support system?
Gerard.
No, it was not Gerard. I just yelled at him and then badmouthed him to Kevin.
Yeah, I had to wait a couple of weeks for Gordon to be my friend again.
We're friends again? I'm
course.
here talking with Ryan and Kevin. So, no.
It feels like we're taking a piss on mental health issues.
Yeah, no.
No. I mean, that's like, you know what I mean? No, I think it's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, we all.
Because honestly,
I'm
how
over
many
here.
times
I'm like cracking up, can't contain myself. Like, obviously, I think it's funny too. Like,
but
it's hilarious. But now,
but like, people can't see me laughing my head off here. Like, you know.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness,
they can hear it.
there's, you know, like realistically, you could be on any given day, it could be a fucking multitude of things, and one of the things that could set you over the edge is like, this fucking part that you've been waiting for so long. And then either it arrives and it's wrong, or it arrives and it's fucked, or it just
damaged.
Isn't going to arrive whatsoever. Like,
or
hey, Kevin, how long
lost,
did you wait for that spring that you lost on your truck?
Yeah, like 8 months.
Yeah. And have you driven the truck since?
No.
Does the truck bring you happiness?
I used to, yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, these are just minor.
Yeah.
Wait. I got one. I got one before we get serious.
Okay.
Imagine you buy a car and for like 7 years, you think it has an R154 in it and the clutch is going. So like 3 years ago, you buy a new clutch for your R154 and then you take it to your friend's shop. They put it up on a hoist. They take the transmission apart and it turns out it's a fucking W58 transmission. It's not even an R154.
Exactly. And how did that make you feel, Ryan?
Mostly like an idiot, but that's anyway. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just maybe let Gordon give us an overview. I don't know. I don't really know how to start, man. But like,
what do you want to like? Do you want to know about me? I mean, I can easily do a quick little thing of how I met you guys. I don't know what you guys want to know.
Here's what I'll say.
I met Gordon through a mutual friend. Chris Vrend.
Kevin.
No, named Chris Vrend. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just after high school.
Yeah. Kevin had his Boundary Bay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we hung out a lot after that. And then there was a brief hiatus where we didn't really see each other too much.
I had a girlfriend.
Why was that?
I had a girlfriend.
Love.
Yeah.
And then
in the way.
I mean, yeah, like it's not like it's not like, you know, it's not a one-sided thing, you know.
No. Kevin's had girlfriends.
Kevin had a Corolla.
Yeah, exactly. I had a Corolla.
All right, here's the thing. I am friends with Gord. I wouldn't say that Gord and I are particularly super close. So I have no idea what we're about to get into. And
I feel close to you, Ryan. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't necessarily know, and I don't mean this in like a callous or a rude way. I just didn't know when Gerard's like, we should do this and we should talk to Gord about it. I was like, all right, but why Gord? And so I guess my question is, why Gord? Why?
Yeah. I mean, if my life's not all horrible, I mean, I have a cool Odyssey and a Stagia, and they bring me happiness. I have two kids, and they're great. But yeah, basically, probably about 2.5-ish years ago, my entire world was kind of just flipped upside down and changed. I had been married for several years. It was going really well in my mind. All of a sudden, one day, we talked. She wasn't happy anymore. I wasn't the happiest, and we basically started to work through separating. Which, if anyone out there has children, it's really hard. It's not just like breaking up with someone where you can just easily split up, go separate ways, and you can fully disconnect. You're always connected to this person for forever. Basically, went through the separation, sold everything, sold the house, and then I had to find my own new space to live in, something that would kind of benefit my kids and give them a life that I'd want them to have and to be able to thrive in and basically grow. And that was right at the start of the pandemic. Basically, I bought my new place, and then the entire world shut down 2 days later. It was like a nice little forced containment in my house, half with the kids, half without. When the kids were there, it was great because it was a nice distraction from basically what I had dreamed and hoped for in my life. They were a good distraction from kind of dwelling on that. And then the other half of the time, I basically got to do a fully broken down, concentrated view of it. So there were no outside distractions, like having your buddies take you out or go for drinks or meet other girls or things like that. It just wasn't a thing. So I got to basically focus on myself and my family and what transpired, and then kind of start to build myself back up from there.
Yeah, it's a really like weird flip flop
Yeah.
between like having your kids there and like trying to like be everything for them, and then like right away then your kids aren't there and you're just like fully in your head 100% alone. Like,
yeah, it's pretty rough. Like I said, I think my kids helped me a lot through it. They're basically my world. Always making me smile every time they tell me they love me or that I'm the best dad ever. Some days I'm happy. Sometimes it makes me so happy I just want to cry because it's great. And then you get to the dark side where you're alone and in your head. I'm very much an overthinker of a lot of things and just kind of sit there and run scenarios and think about possibilities or what could or couldn't have been. And then I dwell on those. Sometimes it's okay and it's a positive thing and it kind of brings me back up. And then other times it just spirals into a darkness and it's really, really hard to get out of. So usually in the nice weather, what has kind of brought me back from the darkness is basically my car. I can be having one of the worst days where I just feel fully broken down and defeated. And I'll literally go to the garage, whether the car's insured or not, fire it up with the door open. So it's not going to... Sorry, I thought I'd specify. Sorry.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. Make sure the garage door is open. I have a nice muffler with a baffle on it, and I'll just kind of let it warm up, do a couple nice blips, have a good time. And I'm instantly happy, at least for that moment. And I try to focus on that kind of going
until somebody else, shut that fucking thing up.
Well, it's not good to do it like 11 at night, but
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you got to.
Yeah.
No donuts in your cul-de-sac. Okay.
Oh, speed bumps are the worst. But yeah, so that was kind of the way COVID started for me. Just like Kevin said, it's a real, contrast between having my kids and focusing on them and having them be my primary focus to then I'm alone and sad and I can't have friends because COVID doesn't let you. I'm running out of things to do around the house. It's very clean. And that's kind of it. I mean, and then, time goes on and you start to feel better, and I would go and I'd work out or just kind of video chat with friends. And that kind of started to bring things up. And then once the weather got nicer, I basically just went through tanks and tanks of gas. It's been a while. I'm in a current relationship right now. It's going well. It's fun navigating my kids and her kids and back and forths and co-parenting and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm lucky enough with my ex that we're really good at co-parenting. From what I can tell, we at least communicate. We don't yell or bicker. I do some things she doesn't like. She does some things I don't like, but that's also a benefit because we get to kind of raise our kids the way we want to in our own space and don't really have to answer to anyone about it unless it really gets out of hand.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of a little
overview.
Yeah, a little bio on me.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely must have been difficult. I remember, like, even for myself too, like when I split with my son's mom, it was just like days and days of like driving around because I didn't want to go home, which, you're just by yourself and stuff. So I just would just drive around and end up sleeping in your car or whatever it may be for forever. But yeah, I mean, time goes on, you get over it. I'm thankful I've never been, obviously maybe it's just different with kids, but I've never been, had thoughts of like worse things, you know what I mean? Like I know that some people can get pretty deep, but luckily I crawled out of it.
Yeah, and it's hard. And I mean, for me, I mean, you guys know me. I'm sure the listeners, 90% of you don't. But I'm a pretty positive person. Especially on the outside. I'm really, really good at making people laugh and have a good time. Sometimes in bigger crowds, I'll kind of just shut up a little bit more. But
I mean, I think throughout that whole time period, like we definitely still kind of hung out, whether it be, I don't know, like on the phone, or I think we would physically hang out even like here and there. I know that like it's been 2 years, but like.
No, we definitely did. And with me having my new place, you know, sometimes, well, especially like Gerard being really close to where I am.
Yeah.
He'd swing by or bring by a beer. We would just kind of, you know, chat or whatever. Just, you know, you guys honestly have been really, really helpful for me. Always being there and giving me a place to kind of go and talk to. I know.
The shop and stuff, you mean, right?
Yeah, the shop.
Yeah.
Your house. Kevin took me to download chicken for the first time ever.
Oh yeah.
Changed my life. So shout out to Nicole because she bought us the dinner, which was great. Yeah. So I mean, it's really crucial to have good, solid friends, and I think for a lot of people going through the pandemic and just kind of down days on their own, you really find out who your key friends are. And those are the ones that basically check in on you when you stop checking in on them, which is important.
Yeah.
I guess speaking of that, like the last 2 years has probably been pretty difficult on like everybody. I don't know. And either you guys had some struggles like with the whole isolation type stuff or any of that type of thing.
Well, I started a podcast with 2 friends.
So there you go. I mean, that's a perfect thing, right? Like,
yeah, maybe that was your way of not going crazy.
Yeah.
No, that absolutely.
Or maybe admitting that you have gone crazy. Who knows?
Woof, maybe just a middle-aged white guy with a podcast.
Yeah, and a craft beer addiction.
And an
Aristo.
Yeah, that's the one thing that makes you not a cliche.
Do you ever go start up your car in the underground?
Yeah, that's an excellent question.
Do I? No, I look at it though whenever I take the garbage down. I'm like, yo, what's up? It's dope.
Do you ever go down just to look at it or to like sit in it to be alone for a minute?
No, not really. No. I don't know. I think
what do you do when you need a break?
When I need a break. When
from the stresses of life. Yeah.
Jeez, what do I do?
You're like, yo, I need a quick feeling of goodness.
Make a video for Gerard. I don't know. Go to SerialNine and make a video, I guess, of like him working on the Blitz. I edit a podcast.
That seems like a weird way to de-stress, and also only once like a month, maybe. You think you'd, you know?
But I then have to edit it all of the time. You know, like it's a long process.
It's a lot of work.
So my outlet usually is actually I try to keep myself busy with things, and then I think if I don't have things to do, then I get worried. So there's always something. There's always an article that I need to write. There's always a video that needs to be edited, or a podcast that needs to be cut, or whatever. So there's always a thing that needs to be done. I too, like Gord, am super like I overanalyze. I think this is what you said. I don't know. I overanalyze things. Like I go full on. Very vivid imagination too, though. So like I'll do worst case.
So there's elves and like stars and
warlocks
shit.
And now look, and this is exactly. I will say this: the issue with the way that I go to feel better about things, and like it depends what it is, right? Like, so if I'm frustrated with work, I can do car stuff, and I'm frustrated with car stuff, I can do work or be with my family. So there's like 3 different outlets, it's a triangle, and you just go to the one that you're not frustrated with. However, part of the problem, and I'll say this with me, is I've done a lot of thinking about this, and it is I put too much emphasis on approval from others. So when I do a thing, I very much want people to like it or engage with it whatever, be like not validated by it. Maybe I need to be validated by whatever I create. And so sometimes that has the adverse effect. So the thing you do to go make that you want to go do to like be happy, you put time into it and then you let it go into the world and you're like, oh, nobody cares about it. And it's like, it's not art for the sake of art, I guess. It's like, no, there's like an intent to this and I want people to enjoy it. And if it's not enjoyable, then that is the downside of that roller coaster. And then for me, I'm like, I get pretty in my head about that. So I guess my happy place can also fuck me up something good too. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. Enough about me.
How about Kevin?
That's not even the question you asked me. Yeah, Kevin, what do you do?
What do I do when I need happiness or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a lot of happiness driving the Crown. Having a manual JZ car is really fun. I have been driving it probably too much like an idiot though, and that's not good. I don't want to get it or my license taken away, so should probably rein it in a bit. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have lots of hobbies and like outlets. Like they're all, it all kind of like depends on it being nice right now though. Like I want to ride my motorcycle and ride my scooter and like. So I was sorry. This is one thing I wanted to mention that like I kind of have noticed about mental health is that it seems like the next generation is like really in tune with it, and they're all like about like hyping up their friends and like constantly checking in on them, and like it's like a huge thing all the time, and it feels like maybe like like the generation, like all of our parents, like it feels like a non-issue, like they like
or it's
scoff at it, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. You got feelings, boy.
Yeah, like what? Like therapist? Like what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, like
shove them down and leave them inside you. Don't talk to nobody about them.
Yeah, basically. Exactly. And then we're kind of like, oh, like sometimes I get sad, bro, like whatever. But then, yeah, like the next gen is just like, oh, it's good. It's good. It's like, it's been brought out of the darkness, I guess.
Yeah. It's definitely more of
I think it still has a long way to go.
There's definitely still stigmas.
I think it's pretty good.
Sometimes some of the concern feels like a show. We all know we're supposed to check on our friends. And then I think for a lot of us, the car scene the cars are meant to be like somewhat of like our safe space or where we go to feel better. And I agree with that. Being around cars always makes me feel better.
Yeah.
But the car scene can also be highly toxic.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Like if you're not careful, if you don't navigate it, if you're not cool, if you don't have the right wheels, if you're not in
the right car club.
You're not in the right car club. Yeah. Yeah. But everything. If you say the wrong thing on the internet and like 12 people pile on you, there's a ton of things out there. And it's an interesting like dynamic, I think, with cars is that, it's meant to be this place where we all like come alive and feel great and can get away from everything. But how quickly it can be soured by the attitudes that are in that scene is very interesting, I don't think anyone who's listening to this podcast would be like, yeah, I totally get it. I love cars. But anyone who's listening to this podcast has probably been in a situation where it's like, yeah, but I did a car thing and then I like got burned or like part of the community is awful. And so as much as we say like, check on your friends and how important it is, there's sometimes it feels like the catchy thing to say because we're not treating everyone with like the same level of respect that we should be, I guess.
It's a lot harder to do actions than just say the words.
Yeah.
But like maybe a hope or a positive that we could take away is like, I don't know, maybe those people who said those things or felt that way, like were like, oh shit, like maybe my actions have consequences, or like,
but then I guess, yeah. But then depending on what you said or what your actions were, then it's up to that person that did those to kind of step up and be an adult about it and actually like maybe not necessarily in the group of everyone around, but maybe like pull the person aside that you slighted in front of everybody. Like, look, I'm sorry for what I said. I wasn't thinking. It was all getting hyped up or whatever. But a lot of people just brush it under the rug and think, oh, well, he'll get over it, because you have no idea what they're going through.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm aside from knowing you guys, I'm pretty much on the outside, which is great. I show up, I have my fun car, I watch you guys get basically fanboyed by all these people, which is really fun to watch, and kind of get to watch it almost from the outside, which is really interesting, because it is that way. You'll see certain people that if say Gerard, for example, does something to a car that isn't necessarily mainstream, but it's Gerard doing it, it's this new wave, it's very innovative, it's very interesting. But then if someone on the outside, say for example me, I go and do the exact same thing because I don't have the presence or the hip turn. I was going there, Ryan. I was going there.
I knew it.
Yeah, has the clout, then I don't get away with it, which I think, I don't like the whole saying everyone's build is good and has its own merit.
Respect all builds.
Oh, God, you don't have to respect all builds, but if it's something decent and not completely horrible, then maybe go for it a little bit, or maybe just don't throw shade on it right away.
Yeah, for sure.
Here's the thing, though.
We're gonna make a "Don't Respect All Builds" line of clothing.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
I think
only respect good builds.
Yeah.
It's called drab, Kevin. It's drab. Don't respect all builds. Drab.
Yeah, exactly. Your car is drab.
Yeah, that
don't respect
good.
it. Yeah.
All right, what's up?
Jesus, I don't even remember what I was going to say. Good. I think here's the thing. You don't have to respect all builds. I think it's important to try to respect people. But sometimes the line between people and cars is a very thin, narrow line.
It is a thin, narrow line when you're like, oh, I know that car, but I don't know anything about the person, and you don't like the car, but maybe the person's really great, Because in this day and age, you don't know the guy, you just know the car,
Yeah, you
just know the car,
people for sure.
But also, I wanted to correct Gordon. When Gerard does a thing, it's not the new wave. Gerard does a thing, it's very impressive. About a year and a half passes, that car goes away, and then the car becomes very popular. Gerard is like, I forget. It's
Gerard's the earthquake pushing the tsunami, making the wave.
Do you guys like Aristos? Nope. And then 2 years later, it's like, do you guys like Aristos? Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like today we're bombarded with negativity. I don't feel like any other time frame has anyone in human history been exposed to so many negative thoughts.
Oh, you mean
actions?
Like our
society,
our environment today. Oh,
society as a whole is just constantly bombarded with negativity, that we're not used to.
Yeah,
Kevin, you're absolutely right. But then you quickly jump to the next super negative thing, right? Like it's always the news goes to the next thing and the next thing and the next.
And what did
thing.
he say? And what was the next thing he jumped to?
I didn't jump to anything.
Oh, okay.
No.
Just like how there's always the next Instagram video, there's always the next oh, this ship is burning. Oh, there's an oil fire. Oh, this train derailed. Oh, there's a revolution going on. Oh, this government dictatorship. Oh, the plastic straws are there's there's always
shit, man.
Always something to be freaking out about.
So
if you want to be freaking out.
So I mean, my whole thing, everyone's gone through a lot of shit. My last sort of let's call it mental health, I guess it was a bit of a crisis, was just COVID. I got married. So 2019, best year of my life. We went to Final Bout. I got, came back from Final Bout, went to Portland with my girlfriend at the time. It was amazing. Fucking went to Hawaii with my mom and my son. It was amazing. Came back. Married my girlfriend, it was amazing. Went to Bali for our honeymoon. It was fucking amazing. And driving across the country, doing all that Chicago stuff. 2019 was if you could imagine all the best shit you could ever do in your life, 2019 was that. And then COVID, right? And it's okay, so now I'm married, got a new house, we got a blended family,
Vitamix? Sorry.
Yeah, got some Vitamix. Vitamix fucking suck. Fuck that shit. Anyways, no.
I got a
sponsorship.
Yeah, so whatever. It's okay, here's a pandemic. Okay, it's all good. I got a new wife, got a new family. Everything's new. It's cool. You know, business is thriving. We did we're doing well. And then I was like, you know, it's going to fade. You know, this shit's going to go away. It's no big deal. I don't really know if I'm like a positive person or a negative person. I think I'm just kind of like I don't know, like a average, take it like it is kind of person.
You're fucking smiling all the time. That's what I know about you.
I don't know if that means it's positive or I just love everything. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I love life. I love doing shit. I love going out. I love driving my car. I love doing all this stuff. But then, yeah, man, like COVID, there was one point at COVID, I was just like, man, like I got super choked because I was like, man, I fucking want to go hang out with my friends. Like, I just want to do the normal shit that like we just used to do. Like everyone would be at the shop, you know, nobody's wearing masks or any of that stuff. And then, you know, you just go, we go meet up at Goo or whatever it may be and go eat or like, I don't know, just normal stuff. And then obviously like, you know, we used to go out for dinner all the time, my wife and I, and this and that. And like, we're just married trying to like have this new life, but like, you can't go do that. You can't go do this. And then, yeah, for a while there, I was just like, got super kind of like depressed, I guess is what it's called.
That would be it. Yes. That's
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it was just like,
I mean, I don't think that you're alone in that. That's like a pretty like well-known thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, like, I
think
guess,
anyone who was already suffering with mental health, like got pushed beyond, you know?
Yeah. And I guess my point was like, I didn't think I could get there. I didn't think that would happen to me. I was just like, okay, this is cool. Like I got all this dope shit in my life. Like I got a business, you know, we're making all these new parts, hiring all these new people. But yeah, like, yeah, sometimes you just kind of felt like, man, like fuck this. It sucks. Like this is garbage, you know? But yeah, I don't really know what I did to get out of it. But I mean, I just, you know, talked to my wife and you know, my therapist.
Maybe a burn.
Then I bought a fucking truck. Then I bought a truck.
Yeah, I bought a truck. Yeah.
Wait. Before I make my joke, did you say you went to the therapist?
I do have a therapist, and honestly, like, it's kind of for other stuff. Like, I didn't really talk to them about like the whole COVID stuff, but like I had a lot of shit in my past with like my dad and other like just life things that like I just could not for the life of me deal with for like my entire life. But yeah, I mean, honestly, in my opinion, a therapist, 100,000%. I mean, if you find a good one, I've had a couple, and I don't know, one I went to and I was just like, whatever. But like, I found one and I was just like, man, this person is literally a lifesaver. Like and it's not you literally just tell them shit and they don't solve it, but like
do they give you the tools to help solve the problem?
Yeah, I use it for myself. I've used, you know, for relationships, all sorts of stuff. And like, yeah, I think they're great. If you get a good one, it is absolutely like the best money you could possibly spend. Not that money is even really an object when you're talking about, you know, your own health, mental or physical or whatever.
But for some people it is, because some people don't have the means to access.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That's absolutely true.
Like, not everybody's got 1J money just laying around, you know, like you can't, it's like it is a big thing, right? Like we don't necessarily have all the means.
And I mean, honestly,
it feels like if you are living that like paycheck to paycheck life, you probably have more stresses as well.
Yeah, and I mean, and you probably need.
You don't know if you can make rent, or you don't know where your kid's food's going to come from. That's probably extremely stressful. Like
that's true. And honestly, I will admit that like probably up until I was almost basically forced to see a therapist, I was just like, nah, like, no, I got this. Like, fuck that. I don't need to talk to anybody. They're not going to help me. You know, I could totally do this on my own. And then it just got to the point where like, man, you're literally not dealing with this. So like, there's nothing you can do. So you need to get somebody that knows what to do. So
two things. I love that when we always have a guest on, it still becomes about Gerard. And
that's fine. I enjoy it. It's all
we can now bounce this back.
I actually want to. No, hang on though. I do want to know, Gerard, how did you know when it got to that point? Like, what was the point where you're like, no? Because I do think, and it is funny because I've noticed the way that we talk about mental wellness and mental health.
Yeah.
and then we said younger generations seem to have a better grasp of it, is that we will say a thing and laugh after we say it, or we'll make a joke.
Yeah.
And we're trying to like soften the blow. And even when you said like, oh, I saw a therapist, it was like kind of like a trail off at the end of the thing. And I didn't even hear you at first, where I had to be like, no, actually like go into that. And it's such an interesting thing, because I do think that our generation, for the most part, and maybe especially in the car community, I don't know, it seems like we feel like we've said it before in the past, like the car community has to be like one of the most like ego driven, like macho type communities
for sure
out there. And it's probably really hard to be like, oh yeah, I actually need help. So how did you know at what point? Because like, as you said, on the outside, here's a guy that pretty much,
has it all.
Seemingly, right? But that's the thing. Everybody looks like they're fine. I mean, or some people don't look like they're fine, but yeah, you could take any.
Yeah, they're probably really not doing good.
But I mean, you could take 10 people and 8 people will look fine, and 6 of those 8 people aren't fine. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was just stuff like from my childhood, man. And I'm not a fucking young dude anymore. I think probably 41 or 42. And I was getting married, and my wife noticed that like every time the stuff would come up, it was just impossible to deal with. So just see a therapist. It helps. Clearly. But yeah, no, like I just couldn't, there's nothing I could do to get rid of it. There's nothing I could do to deal with it. And I had to see somebody, and that was just the bottom line, man. Like it just wouldn't go away. And
yeah, I mean, you can't know everything about everything, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
No. Like you can't be expected, to have
all
the answers for everything.
Yeah. So
I will say though, I never understood when I was younger. I was always like, oh yeah, like it's the new age, blah, blah, blah. Like as a father or as a husband, I don't think I need to have all the answers. And the older I get and the more and more I feel like I'm meant to have it all together.
Yeah.
And have more of the answers. And it's like, man, I definitely do not have all the answers. And I still I look up and I'm like, holy crap, I'm 37. Like I still feel like like a 20-something-year-old being like, oh, I got to go do this car thing and drive this car around and make this video and take these pictures and be at this event. And it's like, realistically, that maybe shouldn't be where my head's at. But like, it definitely, like, the more, the more we like, the further along I get, the more I feel like I should have it together. And I'm like, man, I don't. And I always look and I'm like, it feels like my parents had it together. I know there's memes about that. Like people love to share the memes, like when my parents were 25. But there is truth to that. But
but also like everything was way cheaper then, and like you know what I mean. It was, you could start a life and like have a nothing job and have like a huge like a normal house. Our guest Gordon.
Yeah.
Have you talked to a therapist in your life?
Multiple. Started out with marriage counseling. That was fun. That one didn't work, but the counselor was really good. And then I had one for a little bit. It really helped for things with parenting. Back to your question, Ryan, like when you're asking Gerard, like when do you think it was time? For me personally, it's when I felt my parenting start to slide and just not care or not try to put in effort. So for me, that was kind of a turning point for myself, where I actually, sought help and went and talked to a counselor. Couldn't help me really much on the relationship side of stuff, it seemed, but really got some good points to work with the kids and how to reconnect with them, and kind of reconnect, and kind of almost restart myself as a single parent, and that it's okay that you don't have your life together. We look at Instagram and everything like that, and everyone seems like it's perfect. And, like you guys were saying, you take 8 people, 6 of them are falling apart, but they look great. And even like Ryan, you're like, oh, like I'm 37, like, I feel like I should have more. And like my parents had it all together. I don't think our parents did. I think it was.
You take that back. Marlene and Fred are goddamn saints.
Sorry. No, but I mean, like you look at like, yes, certain things were easier to get a house and have 2 cars and all this kind of stuff. But when it comes to parenting and that side, we're all just guessing, because we all know that every kid is different and every kid is horrible and great at the same time. Yeah. And so that's kind of where I went. And then honestly, currently I'm trying to find another therapist to talk to about basically just like progressing with relationships and trying to blend families and kind of go that route with things. So that's kind of, I'm still on that journey, and I think a lot of people are.
You'll hit me up. I got a great one.
Okay, cool. I will 100%. I'll just, text me the number.
We're finally about to get that sponsorship.
Yeah, I was about to say, well, you should just say it out now, and maybe we could get all sponsored.
Yeah.
Free therapy.
All right, here's our 2-minute ad. We'll just play it right now.
Yeah. So just for reference, I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like on this podcast, like some people know, like, hey, you got kids, Ryan. You know what I mean? But like, so I have currently 3 children. One, 2 are blended. One was my wife's, one was mine, and we have 1 together. And Ryan, you have?
I have 1, and it's funny because when I edited one of the podcasts, I realized I said my daughter's name, which is fine. My daughter's name is June, which is also a month, obviously. And when I was, she's not named after the month. And then I was telling the story, and I said something blah 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 June, and I realized, oh man, most people probably don't have the context of like what the fuck I'm talking about. I should say my daughter, but then I was like, the story probably made no sense because I thought I was just talking about the month of June being a jerk to me or something like that. But yeah, anyway, I have 1 kid.
And Gordon has?
I have 2, son and a daughter, and then my girlfriend has 2 girls. So currently we are blending 4 children. Thank God for Honda Odysseys. They have everything you could ever want, people. Telling you, minivans are coming back
to the scrapyard.
Just kidding. You have a Sienna, Gerard.
I don't have a Sienna. My wife has a Sienna.
No, you have a Sienna, bud. I've seen you drive it. It's yours.
Okay.
It's got a Toge factory license plate.
Kevin has fur babies.
Yeah, Kevin has some fur babies.
Yeah, I got 2 nieces. I got 2 nieces on one side and a niece and nephew on the other side. But no children of my own.
Yeah,
you know
that is true. You'd think it would have come up by now, but maybe not.
Stay strong, Kevin. Hold out. Just hold out, please.
I mean, if it's after 18, it's probably okay, right?
Yeah,
then I don't have any child support at that point.
Jesus Christ.
Unless they go to post-secondary, then you're still screwed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if they don't take a year off, then
they go straight.
Yeah, you got to keep paying in post-secondary unless they take a year off first, and then you don't have to pay it anymore.
How do you know this shit, man?
He did his homework.
He was in a divorce.
Shit or what?
He was just in a divorce.
I learned this at the hockey rink from other guys.
I was gonna say,
this
is not like something you're like, hey, by the way, like, when this kid that might be mine, but not really mine, like goes to post-secondary, is it possible that I like who the fuck nothing? So how about you guys? Any of you guys ever seen a therapeutic?
I've never seen I've been to like counseling with my wife when we first got married to like figure out the adjustment of being married. Which I mean, like we had been living together, but we got married, and then apparently we needed to see a marriage counselor at that point, and to adjust. I mean, in the beginning, a lot of stuff.
You weren't, you're not selling me.
Yeah, because what I was about to say, Kevin, is that early on things seemed very trivial, right? Like it was just kind of like you were talking about like like I was like, I want to do my own laundry. You put stuff in the dryer and you shrink it, let me handle it. And then it seemed very trivial. But I have a friend that kind of says this, and I think it's very true, that like relationships require tune-ups. And we're all car guys. We understand that. They require maintenance. And the longer you go without having it checked out, probably the harder those things that seem trivial, they build up and probably seem harder to fix the longer you go. I imagine. I don't know. I'm sure there's people out there that are super happy and have never had to do it. But I think for the most part, if you're not driving the Toyota of relationships, you need to probably get maintenance.
Wow, that hurt, Ryan.
Yeah. I mean,
you got faster windows, you know.
And
I'll attest
steering.
to that. Like, definitely, you know, any marriage or any relationship period is work. Any marriage is more work. I mean, obviously there's probably a pretty fine line. Some people think it's the same shit, living together, being married, whatever. But yeah, you add kids into the mix, you add jobs into the mix, you add blended families into the mix, you add exes into the mix, you add, you know, businesses, parents, fucking what's the in-laws, hobbies, you know, like, and then you add personality differences.
Yeah, a lot of variables.
Man, it's
there.
like there's just so much that you have to navigate, and you know, like, it's so funny. You look at young kids, or I guess we call them kids, but like, you look at anybody that's like, I don't know, 20 to fucking even 30 years old, man, and like, I just look at them. I'm just thinking in my head, man, like you have no idea how dope your life is, or maybe not dope, but like how easy or like carefree your life actually is. And it's like, you know, and then you get the people like, well, maybe don't have so many kids, or like maybe don't get married, or like maybe it's like, all right, man, like you just keep being single for like the next fucking 30 years and see how dope that is. You know what I mean? It's like,
but maybe those 21-year-olds are going through some shit, because everyone's going through some shit and their life's not that dope right now.
I mean, yes, absolutely true.
But
However,
I know what you mean. Like when you have significantly less responsibilities
and stressors.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, look, my daughter tells me that like she thinks my life is great because I can do whatever I want. She's 4.5, right? So like she thinks she's got problems because like I won't let her go to the pool every night or something. And then I'm like, hey, June, which we've established as my daughter's name. I'm like, what makes you think my life's so great? And she's like, well, you can have lattes whenever you want. That's how she said. So in my daughter's mind, being able to have a latte whenever you want is like you got your shit together, which like I kind of wish that was the case, but it definitely doesn't.
I feel like there's multiple memes like that where it's just like, you know, when you're young, all you want to do is eat cookies in bed, and then you get old and you're like, the last thing I want to do is eat this cookie in bed. Like, you know,
yeah. My metabolism has slowed down immensely.
And then there's
crumbs in the bed.
Yeah. Like, and I always like, this is my problem with parenting is that then I like get pretty real. I'm like, you think I do everything I want to do all the time? Because like, I don't want to watch.
Let me tell you, Jude, what I have to do to earn the money to get you to daycare.
No, not even that. I'm like, I don't want to watch Paw Patrol with you. And she's like, why? I'm like, the plot is really thin and it doesn't make sense. And then I have a whole analysis of why Paw Patrol is a stupid show. Because it is a stupid show.
That's so good.
Anyway.
I feel like I saw like a counselor or therapist when I was younger, and they like were like, you have ADHD.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that was someone that I talked to about my feelings and what was going on. But I feel like it was like grade 6, grade 7. So 13 or 12. I don't really know how to. But yeah, I was saying to Gerard just very recently that like we have this sort of like business coach, and like he's really helped to like unpack what seems like really complicated problems and break them down into like step by step, like just do this and like the problem should go away. And like it really does every time. And it feels like we wouldn't be where we are without it. So I'm like, man, like, yeah, I can confidently say there's no way we would be anywhere close to where we are without it. So like
instrumental.
That's why I'm just like, man, I was saying this the other day. I'm like, man, like, is that what like having a therapist is like? Is that like what that's allowing you to happen, is to like unpack these complex problems in your life and have step by step, like Gordon was saying, like, you know, like he gave you these things to do with your kids to really help you like engage with them more and like reset your parenting. And like I'm kind of like, I was just like, yeah, maybe this is like something that could be interesting or a cool,
Yeah,
you know?
and then I piped up right away and I was like, dude, 100%, like exactly, like the therapist that I have is literally exactly like our business counselor or business coach or whatever. It's like you have some problems and you're kind of like frustrated or whatever, and then she just like you said, breaks them down, navigates through them, gives you stuff to do or stuff to work on, and you always leave the session with like a
Purpose.
yeah, I don't know how she does it, man, but there's always like, okay, so let's finish with this, and everything's just kind of fucking better, man. I don't know how it works, but like, you know, obviously like there's work involved to make it better, but like,
Yeah, you still gotta do all the things
yeah,
on the
just
list.
all this shit's just been diffused into like, okay, now you're just gonna do this, and then you do the thing. I mean, if you put the work in yourself, like obviously same with our business. If we just saw this business coach all the time and didn't do the work that she, you know, tells us to do, we would still be nowhere. However, we do the work and then it becomes awesome. So
Yeah, they just like break it down. Like for a lot of people, we're very visual learners and stuff like that. So they take this complex problem that you have fully scrambled in your head. They look at it from the outside because they have no real motive or intent towards you. They take your problem, they break it down, like you guys are saying, into small little pieces. And those small little pieces are easy to work with and easy to manipulate to basically send you on that path. So like Gerard was saying, like he doesn't know what happens at the end of the session. He just ends up leaving feeling better.
yeah.
That's fully what happens with me in anything like that, because you get to talk about things you normally wouldn't talk about with people. They listen to you, which is one of the biggest things, is they're not sitting there trying to necessarily just force feed you options or things you should do. They listen, they interpret, and then they present you with options of what you can do. And then it's up to you to kind of work through it and basically make it work for you. And the way they do that is by breaking it down, and it just makes it seem so simple. And you're like, why couldn't I do this on my own? And then you go back every week and it works great.
And I do have to say, it's like, it's a lot different than talking to friends. And I'm not saying talking to friends isn't good. Like obviously talking to friends is probably like step one. Like you know, we have a pretty big network of friends, and obviously some friends are closer. Some friends are, you know, you share more emotions with and stuff. Some friends are just kind of like acquaintances, but there usually is like one or two friends that are close enough to you or that understand you enough that you can talk to or you can listen to, or, you know, whatever it may be that, you know, needs to be done. But yeah, I guess the therapist is fully like the, you know, there's no bias. They're not trying to get you to do something. They're not trying to like, you know, sway you one way or the other.
Yeah,
they
don't have a horse in the race.
Yeah, they're just trying to get you to do the right thing for you.
I remember someone told me it was like, your friends are meant to be there to have your back. So like, even if maybe you're slightly in the wrong or in the wrong, they're like, no, dude, you fucking got this.
Yeah, like,
fuck them for doing that to you. Go on.
You get those friends that like, they just want to, they don't, you know what I mean? And then sometimes the people that are sort of requesting the help, if you tell them the right answer, in your opinion, they just get choked because you're not agreeing with them. And you're just like, well, fuck, I don't even want to talk to you because you just want to hear what you want to hear. And I'm not telling you that. So sorry, go talk to someone else. You know what I mean? So
one thing, we all definitely made it kind of sound like having children makes it be a bit of an issue, I think. And then
financially and mentally.
We just kind of let Kevin say that. And then I don't think that's fair, because it is like we're one. And before I get even into that, I like that we started this episode being like, all you got to do is get in your car and rev the engine up a little bit, or go for a drive, or do a burnout. And then we were fully therapy is actually the answer. We're like therapy, like, and so again, I think that speaks to probably.
But I think like, you know, having a car that you enjoy and like going outside and like breathing the fresh air and doing exercise and hanging out with your friends are all things you can do to improve your mental health that aren't going to therapy. But you know what I mean? So maybe those are all, maybe that's like the car washing. It's not the tune up, you know, like.
Yeah. But
I mean, sometimes that is therapy too. I mean, time is therapy, you know what I mean? And like,
it can be for sure.
What's the word? You know, like, I mean, a lot of those euphoric feelings that you feel when you fire up your car or do a burnout or whatever it may be, those are pretty temporary. But perhaps the time combined with doing those things that you actually like, maybe will bring you out of some sort of really low place. But I obviously there's got to be some sort of solution to the actual problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a double-edged sword though, because you can probably get pretty deep into like your car, right? Like if you're like, man, this brings me so much joy, but now I got to build it into like a 600 horsepower vehicle, and then and then you put your money into it, and then it's a financial woe, and then you're stressing out because the thing that's meant to bring you joy is on jack stands all the time, and you're trying to solve problems. Like, it's a tricky thing. You can easily, like, I don't know, not easily.
I mean, like Buddy Ben from last podcast was talking about how like he was feeling burnt out, you know, and like just like, how do I keep up the motivation to even like get this thing done? And it's just like, well, it doesn't really sound like that's helping his mental health at this point, but you know, he's maybe, you know, once he gets to that first event or fires it up, then like that will, you know. And that's the thing, is like no one's ever just like a straight line through life. Like, you know, it's ups and downs, and sometimes you got to work really hard and you're not really getting a lot for it, and other times you're just kind of coasting and everything's turning up gold for you. But
there's definitely just like an underlying struggle with like everything, because I guess I was describing that as having trouble with, you know, the whole isolation and not being able to do what you want. So I built that Blit, and I said, I'm going to force myself to drive this 1JZ powered, like, modified car every single day through the winter. Like, I've never had a sick car through winter. And I did that, which was fine. And that's, you know, it was enjoyable. I went drifting, you know, we made a video, it was cool. But at the same time, there are consequences with that too. Like, you slid into a curb, you destroyed a wheel, you destroyed your bumper. And now all the shit underneath your car is like kind of rusty and like all this stuff. So it's like, that was great and like euphoric at the time, and now it's like you're dealing with all these other problems, and like even to keep that car going, you know, there's all this maintenance and all this other shit, and then somebody backs into it and you're like, fuck, like you just got it on the road, you just got it aligned, you just got all this shit, and then somebody just like fucks it up, and then that could be the thing that puts you over the edge, because all this other shit's bad too. And it's like, now your car is actually worse, you know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, I think it's
one basket. Yes, it is. That makes sense. Gordon, what do you think?
Yeah. So I was just gonna kind of say, like Gerard was saying, like, you know, you have this car that you love and you want to drive, and you're constantly driving it, and then it gets a little nick and gets hit and stuff like that. That's kind of like our mental state for a lot of it. We have these little hits, these little bumps and things like that, and so when our car happens like that, we take it to the body shop or to the mechanic, or if you're so inclined, you try to fix it yourself, but you're not really great at it. So you go, and basically for us, we take ourselves to a therapist and we talk to those people, and they kind of iron out all the dents and the marks and the nicks in our life and try to basically bring us back to, you know, a whole person that is happy and centered and can actually function without constantly breaking.
That's an awesome analogy. I never even thought about that.
But what if you go out and do all the things again that wrecked the car in the first place?
Then you go back, same as you would with therapy. You don't just go for one session and like, bam, I'm healed, I'm out, I don't need to ever go back again.
That's called a slip, Ryan, you know, and people people have them all the time.
Well, but I'm just saying, if you repeatedly are like, that like there's all these things. Like Gerard
you get
said,
better. Everything gets better, right? Like you don't suck so bad, so you don't crash your car, or you don't suck so bad, and you don't get into a stupid relationship where you know you're going to get fucked up or hurt or whatever, right?
Oh, but how do you know that?
Because your therapist teaches you how to see the red flags. Yeah.
Oh,
like I'm not going to go try to do the same third gear move and go as fast as I possibly can. And, there's a wall there. I know not to do that anymore.
Okay. All right.
Do you?
I like the, do you?
Maybe I'll just learn how to left foot brake a bit better. And I probably would have just pulled out of that really easily or something. I don't know. Yeah, I get it.
I like the thing. It was like the definition of insanity, I think. Maybe is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the thing, right? Yeah. Good.
So I think it's going to get to a point where you kind of have to just do what makes you happy, because, and it's hard to do that, right? Because especially if you're into people pleasing and making sure that everyone's happy and taken care of, and then you look after yourself. So if you're constantly doing that, you basically wear yourself down to nothing, to where you're a shell. And I guess that's been kind of my focus for a while, is I still can't get away from the people pleasing and the making sure that everyone's good over myself, because then of course I'm left at a deficit. But now I'm just trying to kind of focus on small things that make me happy, that I don't care if people like or not. Just going and doing what I want to do, or doing something to my car, or with hockey, or with work, or with my kids. I start being, I think, a little more selfish. And
it's not selfish though.
No, I mean,
you can't fulfill anybody else when you're empty.
But when you're someone like me who likes to basically make sure everyone's happy, you guys don't see it as selfish. But to me personally, when I do something for myself over someone else, to me, my brain's telling me, oh, that's selfish. Not necessarily in a I'm not going to do it way, but still it's just, that's how it's viewed in my head. And so I have to start focusing and actually really drilling down on, it's not actually selfish. It makes me happy. And you have to start putting your happiness before others, because once you basically wear yourself down to nothing, most of the time, the people that were there while you were happy and making them feel good,
they're gone.
They're gone. They're not there to help you. You were a yes person, and you built them up, and they're not built that same way. And so you're left basically to try to build yourself back. And the worst part is there's a lot of people that can't do it. And that's the sad part. Like I've lost some friends due to mental health. I've lost friendships due to it. It's a slippery slope. And I mean, having those few key friends in your life to kind of bring you back are pivotal. And also just the ability to shift your mindset, I guess.
Yeah. I was going to add to what you said there. The yes man, or the like people pleaser.
Yep. I
think in small amounts, that's not the worst thing, but I feel like it's pretty dangerous in relationships for sure. Cause like in relationships, it's pretty easy at first to like, okay, like we get along pretty well. Like there's the first few kind of steps where you're like, okay, this is good. Like, I like her, this and that. And then maybe things, aren't all perfect, but you can adjust. You're a yes person, you're a people pleaser. You can adjust here, a little bit there. And then
relationships are compromise, that's what a relationship is.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a compromise, it's not her, it's you. You should be more resilient, et cetera, et cetera. And then like a couple years later, a couple months later, you look and you're like, man, like, wait a second. Like what about me? Like, and like you were saying, it being selfish, like, dude, I had to learn how to do that. Like I used to just literally live my entire life for girls or girlfriends or whatever the hell it may be. And like, I had to learn to just be like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to do me. I'm just going to hang out with my homies. And like, I had to learn how to do that at like a late age too, man. Like,
I feel like that's like when I met you.
Yeah, literally pretty much. Yeah, I was not like that at all.
Kevin right out of the gate was like, if you're going to make me choose between my car or a girl, I choose the car every time.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's it's a tricky thing. Yeah, relationships are a compromise. I think I figured out pretty early on. I was like, no, I need like cars in my life. And I knew that was very much separate from like my wife. Like my car life is, she like has helped with the blog and stuff. She like proofreads everything because she is a writer by trade. So she like does all that stuff. But she has no interest in cars. And I have, like, I guess kudos to people who are in relationships where their like girlfriend is also into cars. I don't even know if I guess. Oh, I guess his wife doesn't listen to this podcast, but my good friend Jordan Hall, when we were first met, he was like, I don't want my girlfriend to come to the track. He's like, that's time for me and the boys. Like, I don't need my girlfriend around for that. And I was like, yeah, man, like I kind of get it. Like that was my escape from the things that were tough, or not tough, but like when you needed a break from being in a relationship, you could go do car stuff. And then when you need a break from like car stuff, you can kind of go be in a relationship. But also, I guess the relationship is a constant. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It was like, it's just one of those avenues of like, and people who can like mix all those things together, the more power to them. But I think I compartmentalized my life. I think what was tough, because Gerard, a while back in this podcast, you said about the pandemic, we went into a lockdown. It was very like strange. And I was the person, I was very content going to work. I really liked my job. My job had a lot of nice, like cushy perks. We have like beer taps in the office and stuff. So your boy would get drunk on Fridays and stay in the office and do that type of thing. And having to adjust from like that social experience to being at home was very tough. And then in that, what I would always kind of tell people at work when it was like, oh, this work thing goes away, like I'll just go back and do car shit like anytime. Like I love doing car stuff. But then I couldn't do car stuff. And I was just kind of stuck in like one mode, one version of me, which was like family me. And that was really tough. Like it was draining. My family is very strict on the rules of mandates and pandemics and all those things. So it was, I think there would be a point, like even Kevin and Gerard, there would be like, I wouldn't see you guys in person for like 4 months at a time, because it was just like, oh yeah, we're not going out right now because that's what the rules say. And man, like there is definitely, it was for sure rough. And then I had to find a thing to like keep myself occupied. And that is actually when I like pitched the podcast to you guys, because like I was like, I don't know what else to do with my time. I need to be around cars to some extent, and this kind of like fills that void. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely rough, especially when the things that you want to be like, hey, that's my like piece of happiness isn't there anymore. Yeah, probably tough for a lot of people. But,
for sure.
Yeah, one thing I will say is like during like the beginning of the pandemic and almost like all throughout, it's like my thing is like, like I like cars and vehicles, and it's like that hasn't really been too affected for me. It's like I could still go to the shop, I could still work on my vehicles, I could still drive them around, I could, I still got to go camping. So it didn't really feel like I had like the toughest lockdown, if you will. So I think that was a huge thing for my mental health. And it's like our business kind of just took off during that time. It's like my mom, her whole thing is travel, and she has like a travel business, and like her shit tanked, and also like her sort of business tanked. And then also like the thing that she loves to do, she like can't do. So like it was like a double whammy for her.
Backing up a bit, how you guys said like you established quickly sort of in your relationships, like, like cars or nothing, or like whatever. And I feel like for people like maybe Gordon and I, you sort of bend a little bit and like, adjust a little bit in the beginning. And what that does is it just becomes difficult to backpedal later on, because they're like, what do you mean you want to go like motorcycle riding all Sunday or whatever it may be? And then you're like, well, actually, that's like totally what I want to do. That's like totally what I used to do all the time. And I just want to do that. And it's like, well, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And it's like
the farmers market and the antique show.
Yeah, and the kids and the family. It's like, all right, man, like,
I
just need to go ride my fucking motorcycle. Like,
that for sure still exists, though. I think that's a constant. Like, and I mean, luckily my wife doesn't listen to the podcast. She, like it's the occasional thing too, is like, it's probably hard for her to understand that there is a car in her underground parkade that is worth like a decent chunk of money. And we've talked about that before. And she always says she understands, but then there's times where it is a little bit tough. And, I'm the type of person that if I'm gone doing a car thing sometimes isn't like a 2-hour activity. Maybe it is for some people, but it's like, if you're going to a car show or a car meet, your car's there, and then you're with your friends, and you're at the meet for X amount of time. And then maybe you do something after the meet, and it ends up being like an 8-hour or all day endeavor. Or sometimes you're getting on a plane and flying to fucking Wisconsin to like take photos of cars. Like it's a big ask, and it's always an ask, especially like when you have, it's the same thing, Gerard. And I do get what you mean. Like I compromised on other things. And for the most part, I'm lucky enough that my wife understands that means something to me, but I don't know if it always fully makes sense, and like, I get it. It doesn't always fully make sense to me. Like, imagine holding on to something just for the sake of having it when it's worth like a decent chunk of change, right? Especially in today's market. So it isn't, for me at least. I totally understand where you're coming from. It's not like, haha, I set the rules and the guidelines and I get to live by them. It's like, no, I still have like guidelines and things that I have to like abide by. And it's a give and take, and sometimes a push and pull, but it is like, what it is.
Yeah. Like George was saying, it's all compromise, like Ryan, like you had said previously, like, like some people want to have that partner that's into the same things they are. Like, I'm sure that if your wife was into cars as much as you were, she'd be like, yeah, like, let's go on road trips. Let's keep the car forever. Let's, go on motorcycle rides all day Sunday and things like that. But when you don't,
my family's never getting on a motorcycle, Gordon.
Okay. Scooters. Then, but if you don't have all the same interests, and one of them is a major part of your life, then it just takes compromise. So, okay, maybe every second Sunday you get to go out or things like that. I get what Gerard was saying, where, and I'm definitely guilty of, where you bend at the beginning and it's really hard to gain that traction back. You basically have to kind of fight for it to get it back. And then,
then it's a fight.
It is a fight.
Right?
And then there's resentment.
And then we always lose. We already know that we lose. Doesn't matter what happens.
It sounds like you just have to be upfront with like, what you are about as a person, and be open with your communication,
Yes.
I mean,
Kevin, if Kevin had a dating, hang on. If Kevin had a dating profile thing on like whatever Tinder, it's like it would be like the U and then the lesser than sign and then like car. That's like straight up, this is what you're getting into. And then it would be like drift, and then it would be like the equals with the line through it, because you don't even, not even close. Like drifting is number 1, car is number 2, and then that's a significant other. Cole's a goddamn saint.
Basically, yeah, because it doesn't really sound like that profile would be getting too many swipes.
Yeah.
This guy
I'd
has
swipe
a
right.
pink Altezza.
They'd be like, is this a guy or is this a car? Like,
yeah.
Why is every photo of a car?
Well, this guy isn't a picture of him holding a fish that he caught
at the top of a mountain.
Dude, I want to like Photoshop a photo of me holding the Altezza like a fish.
Oh, yes.
There's nothing wrong with Tinder photos with you on top of a mountain, okay, boys?
Oh,
nothing wrong.
I do enjoy, a side note, I do it like, I've had friends that have gone through divorces later in life, and then they're like, they talk to me and they're like, why is every man holding a fish in his profile photo? Like, and they're holding it closer to the camera so it looks bigger. It's like, I don't care if you
They're
can
a
catch
provider.
the fish. Yeah, I mean, so is the supermarket, but all right, like, whatever. But then the answer
Spoken like
was
a
they're
true
being
pescatarian.
they're being upfront about what their hobby is, I would think, but like,
I think they're just trying to look more adventurous
Yeah, fully.
than they probably
100%.
actually are.
but like, or they just really like fishing and they have
Yeah.
no other pictures of themselves, or they think they look the best in it because in their mind, we probably also think that we maybe look the best standing in front of our car. Like, aren't all of our
I don't think I
pictures-
ever had a single car photo in any of my shit. Like,
What's your profile? What is your profile photo?
me?
It is you, isn't it? Yeah, it is. All of our profile photos are us, except for maybe Kevin's.
You mean on
I think
Facebook?
Kevin-
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Anywhere.
I'm sitting on my car. I'm sitting on the roof of my car on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Kevin, you fully, and then on Facebook, it's like
I'm a
you're
silhouette.
silhouetted,
Yeah.
and then your car is the thing that you see. Kevin's doing it right, you guys. My profile picture on Facebook is me drinking a beer, and I haven't changed it in a very long time. And then when we were trying to find a nanny for June, I remember being like, nobody's going to talk to me because it's me chugging a beer on a beach. And sure enough, nobody reached out to me to be my child's nanny. So yeah,
Aw.
that's fine. We got one. What's Gord's?
Mine's on Facebook. It's me holding my kids up at a lake.
And a
And,
SerialNine t-shirt. Wah, wah, wah.
Always got to represent my friends.
Represent.
Always.
Well, I'm just going to say this. What I like about your setup is that it's a photo of you at the lake. And then
Yeah.
you're like, your banner photo on Facebook is the same lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Oh, thank you. Style points, I guess.
I think
Kevin's
mine
is
is a
like-
Ryan Benoit photo.
Woo,
99%
that's,
sure my background is in the Ryan Benoit photo.
Oh, it is. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
you at your wedding looking very happy. Best year of your life. Car of your car drifting. I like Kevin's because Kevin's is backwards. It's like his car is his profile picture, and then his banner is him camping with his girlfriend and the dyna in the background.
Well, it's a bigger photo, you know?
Clearly,
Yeah.
priorities
And
are
like there's still like
It's a bit of an air of mysteriousness, you know? You don't like who is that? Like, well, you know, like all I can see is their outline, like, you know.
No, but I'm saying like, yeah, your profile photo, cool. But then even like your banner photo, like you have like most
Yeah.
people would be like, here's me and my significant other. And you're like, first,
Well,
me and my car.
Because he's still 5 years old. He's like, car,
Yeah, exactly.
car.
Yeah.
Amazing. Good. I'm glad we
I
have
am
that
who I am, and that's why I
Right?
put
Yeah, no.
the greater than you.
moment.
It's okay. I'm falsely representing on Instagram with my borrowed helmet from Gerard sitting passenger seat in a drift car. So, but I look cool. I like my Instagram photo. It's pretty sick.
I do feel like we've made having kids and being married feel like the worst.
It is the worst, Ryan. Come on. My cousin in Calgary, she wants to conspire with another couple to basically divorce, and so they'll shift kids from house to house so they can have their alone time.
What do
Yeah.
you mean? Oh, I see.
Isn't that just like sending your kids to hang out at their cousin's house for the night?
Yeah, but for like multiple days in a row.
I mean, I would spend an entire summer at my aunt's house.
Really?
Yeah.
That'd be sick. I'm sending the kids away to the States with my parents.
Yeah. Why
Yeah.
not,
Oh,
right?
really?
It's good. That's another parenting style they'll get used to.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I love going down with my grandparents to the trailer and stuff like that. So
Yeah, totally.
it's great.
So Kevin, you would go, where did your aunt live?
I won at the time it was in Vernon. Yeah.
And you would just
And
go
then
for
I
the
went and I
summer?
stayed like another summer at my other uncle's place, and that was in like Fort Nelson. That was mentally health draining.
Was it?
Anything with the name Fort. Anything with the name Fort just sucks.
Dude, it's really up there. There was like one paved road with like one stop sign. Like it just like wasn't the place where like a 14-year-old kid wants to be, you know?
So why were you there? Like, why were you sent there? I guess is my.
I don't know, probably because like Vancouver's not the place for a 14-year-old boy who's out of school to be hanging out all day, in my mom's opinion, when I could be somewhere else, you know, with some supervision.
Yeah. Are your parents together or not together? I've never really asked.
My parents are not together. They were not together fairly. I think I was like 14 or 13, maybe.
Oh, okay.
No. I was 15. I was 15.
This whole time we were like shitting on like, you have get married, you have kids, and we could have been learning things about Kevin, but we were. These are things I don't know.
I thought you were going to talk about your dad.
I was also going to talk about like I've been trying not to like drink. I haven't drank in 20 days, which is like a huge thing for me, which like is like a mental health thing. But like to me, I don't know, like I never like lost any relationships due to it. Like, you know, friends aren't not seeing me like. But like I don't know,
not drink at all or drink less.
I was trying to drink less, but I haven't drank at all. But yeah, like I don't know, it's like I would say it was taking more of a physical toll on me than like a mental toll on me. But like it's obvious both. Like it fully affects everything going on with your body. And then yeah, like my dad's dad was an alcoholic. My dad was an alcoholic. Like I am or was basically an alcoholic. And yeah, it's just like, man, I've been literally drinking nonstop for like 20 years. Like maybe I should take a look at like how this is affecting my life or serving me, or like, is it serving me in any way? Like, or is it literally just such a habit now, you know? So yeah, I don't know. I've been trying to like deal with that. And like, I don't like, they talk about how like, oh, like after you quit drinking, like sometimes certain people they can't feel any happiness because like
that's crazy.
Yeah, and like other people, they're just overjoyed because it's like your body and all your emotions have been so numbed from all this alcohol for so long that now that you've stopped doing it, like you can't control your emotions and you're just so happy or so sad or like, so like it definitely is like a lot of weird mental things about it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like I feel happier, like if you know. So I guess that's good, you know.
That's cool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Good.
20 days is a pretty long time for somebody who drinks every day or not every day or a couple days.
Dude, I'd say I drink like 5 drinks every day.
Every day?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Like, I mean, not and like maybe not like you know, like it maybe be 3 one day, but then like 7 another day.
Yeah.
So like it was like I think I started this whole thing by like starting to count them and just being like, holy shit, like this is crazy.
That's a lot. That's like fully alcoholic.
Oh yeah, dude. Like, yeah.
And
I mean, it wasn't always like that, and like you know, like and same thing. It's like it's not always like that. It's just like, you know, sometimes I'd, you know, come home and I'd drink a bunch and other times I'd come home and not drink at all. But like over the course of the time, and if you average it all out, it's still a ridiculous amount.
So basically every night you go to sleep, you're pretty much drunk.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy, man.
I mean, not anymore, but yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Like I know you drink like often. I drank often. I just thought it was like,
that's what I mean. It was never. Yeah, it's not.
Like,
that's what I mean. Like I don't really think it was ever a problem for me. Like it's not like affecting my job. Like I'm not you know, like people aren't like leaving my life because of it. But like that doesn't mean it's not a problem. It just means it's not that much of a problem. You know.
Yeah.
And like like I said, like maybe you know maybe I have all these other things in my life that are helpful for my mental health, and this isn't. But it's like it was really starting to take a toll on my physical health. So like yeah.
Did you find it was hard to stop? Like, were you like?
I talked to Gerard about this a while ago too, where I was just like, I used to really like Slurpees. Like I would have a Slurpee a day. Like I'd be drinking Slurpees in the winter. Like I'd have a Slurpee and Gordon would come by the shop and be like, hey, I'm getting Slurpees. You want one? I'd be like, yeah, get me another Slurpee. Like, and then one day I was just like, man, like, I don't want this anymore. It's like so much sugar. Like I don't need it. And like, just like right then I just kind of completely stopped. And now like the only time I get a Slurpee is if someone like comes by the shop with them, you know?
Mhm.
And I was just like, man, I need to have that sort of self-control or willpower or whatever it is with my drinking too. And then that's what I was like, I want to just kind of slow down, but like I just kind of stopped. I don't know. For me, that like seems almost easier, but then also it seems like a false thing. It's like, I went out to a nice dinner with Nicole the other week, and it's like, man, it would be really nice to have a cocktail at this dinner. It's, I'm not drinking 5 beers on a Wednesday night. I'm having 1 beer on a special occasion or 1 drink, But I was like, I don't know if I'm at that point yet, but like, I don't want to just be like, it's either yes or no. Like, I'd like to be able to consciously limit it and make decisions about why,
You guys want to answer some questions? It's fun to answer questions with guests.
Sure.
Yeah, because we can get their opinion on the question.
Yeah.
Is there
So
one?
let's
All right, okay.
So should we
So-
say something like, "Hey, let's end this episode on like a lighter note," or nothing, or just
Yeah, you
Well,
just
I'll
said
just
it.
put that
Say it again.
clip in.
let's answer some questions.
Well, what's our takeaway? I think our takeaway is that if I've learned anything from this episode is that our generation probably still deals with the stigmas of mental illness and mental illness, and that therapy is probably the answer for most of us, is what I actually good solid takeaway.
I mean, I agree. I mean, therapy can come in many shapes or forms, but definitely the professional type is the most effective.
Probably number one. It's the professional type is the
Yes.
SerialNINE of health.
Mental wellness.
Yeah, Yeah, you can try to do it yourself at home, and maybe your fucking
End up with bacon.
parts will work properly.
bacon
Yeah,
health.
maybe bacon fenders. Yeah, like you can bacon fenders your mental wellness, or you can probably get professional help. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do some questions, because man, I got questions.
All right.
People, I love that they write in and ask questions. We could almost do every episode as like, let's answer some questions. I got this one today from 93_SC, not 93_SC, but SC. And I love that. I love that.
What was the percentage of the beer this night?
It was only 2 beers tonight.
Yo, apparently
One was-
it's hella snowing in Burnaby
Yeah, Nicole
I
ran
think
in
it's
here the other
snowing
day and
here.
said it was snowing.
the other day.
No, like an hour ago.
Oh.
I might have said that. Yeah,
the other day.
the other day, like an hour ago.
All right. Okay, so he wrote, "Hey man, love the podcast. Not sure if this is where I ask questions. It's absolutely where you ask questions. If not, I apologize. No need to apologize. But wanted to get your opinion on the JZZ30 chassis and whether you guys think they are a worthy chassis."
Didn't we answer
Thanks.
this question?
No,
We answered
we
this
answered. No. And I even clarified. I'm like, hey, this is a great question. We answered, would you guys ever build parts for the JZZ
Yeah.
30 chassis? And the answer was nope. But Gord,
Yes.
the JZZ 30, how do you feel about that chassis?
Uh,
Is it a worthy chassis?
well, if you're not making parts for it, then is it worthy?
Yeah, I mean, fucking, they don't make Taycan parts, and Gerard won't shut up about the goddamn thing.
Yeah, but he runs the podcast, so he's allowed to talk about what he wants to. No.
I think technically I run the
Yeah,
podcast.
definitely.
Ryan runs the crap.
I kind of like them. I don't know. I'm not the person to ask, honestly. Sorry, boys. I do like the look. I think they're pretty fun. I know our friends down south, buddy Zach has one or had one. It was pretty cool. But what's it being worthy of? Just to like
own, drift, drive, be happy. I mean, not be happy. You can be happy with any car, but yeah, I mean, like, is it? I guess
I think, yeah, you
worthy
can make.
of our affection.
Yes, I think so. I think they're pretty cool. You can actually do a lot of stuff to them. You can make them look pretty cool. I think if you can make a car pretty decent and in this world drift it and have it perform well, I think it's worthy.
There
All right.
are redeeming aspects about the car. I used to really, really think they were super cool looking and really like them. Then I kind of got around them and was like, oh, there's a lot of things about this car I don't like. I still think they can look really good. I still wouldn't own one. But to see someone else have one that looks cool, I'm all about it. But for me, I don't think I'm going to have it.
Whew. I will say probably there's a lot of history and drifting tied up in that car. I think that's fair to say with like D1 and Wayno is that dude, and all the Vertex stuff, and it was a TNE car.
TNA.
So I think, listen, is the car worthy? Absolutely. Can it look cool? For sure. Do I want that car myself? No. But you're also talking to now a group of 4 guys that all have 4 or more doors on all of their cars, right? So like none of us are like really after that sporting look. We're all kind of pretty like neck deep in doors. So I think
practicality.
Yeah. More real estate, as Gerard said. I think the car is worthy. I understand why SerialNine doesn't build parts for it, and I agree with the old episode. Like when Gerard, you said it. Like I think there's quite a bit of parts out there for that car. It's an old car now. It probably doesn't warrant having like new parts. I don't think that car is going to make any more of a resurgence. And then it was like, if you've ever had to change the door hinge on that car.
Oh my God.
I think most cars that were in D1 get like a big old check. It's probably the way our culture works, I think. Anyway, so
Gerard,
to answer,
I would say
you got to say no, just because we all said yeah.
say no.
For myself, I don't know, man. I mean, I could definitely I can get down with them as like a stance, like styly drift car for sure. But I mean, they're heavy. Everything about them feels heavy, and they're heavy, and they're kind of shitty. Door panels break and stuff, and the center console breaks and stuff. And I never really liked the fact that it was a Lexus, but then Sora would probably be the one that I would want. I definitely thought they were always pretty gangster. And I thought it was cool when I found out that you can get like a late model one with a VVTi 1J. I thought that was really cool, because then it's like you get the good engine with this kind of older car and it's already done. You just buy it. It's like a 97, 98. And would I buy one? Absolutely not. But if someone were to say, hey, you can have this and build it and like make it look sick and drive around in it, it's pretty cool. Yeah. It's a 4-seater too, which is kind of sick, versus a Supra, which is like a 2+2.
Yeah. I mean
the rear seats are pretty small, but they're definitely bigger than a Supra.
If someone gave me like pretty close to that D1 version of that car, I'd be like, yeah, I'll drive that around. I don't want to build it, but I would have it. I mean, it's a worthy car, I think.
There's one dude in Japan.
I mean, his car's nice. Like,
oh really?
Yeah.
Let me check it out. What's the guy? What's the
93 SC?
93.
He wrote us 4 hours ago.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, his car is cool.
Yeah, drifting.
Oh, hell yeah. Yo, he has that hood.
Although he just picked up a 147, which is way cooler.
Yeah, I gotta say 147. I mean, I don't know. I had this talk with my son earlier today. I'm like, because he's like, oh, Supra. Like, he's played this video game. He's like, the second car I got was a Toyota Supra. I'm like, you know why we like these cars? Like these, like my Blit and like the Aristo and this. He's like, no, not really. And I'm like, well, basically they're a Supra, but they have, 4 doors so that I could like carry you and like your sister and like, little Bella and like mom and stuff. But like, it's still fast and it's still sick like a Supra. And he's like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like, he's always liked these cars, but obviously I think as a kid, he obviously likes the Supra or like the coupe better.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to just always be those people that like no matter how practical or how almost
it's called the majority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they're just gonna like coupes better. And I mean, if I had to choose a coupe, that would be what I'd choose.
Would I have it over an S14 or an S chassis?
I feel
No.
like I wouldn't even choose it over the ZZ20 or even like the 40.
Really? A 20, man?
I like the 20. Yeah, man. The 20.
Yeah, the
it's
20
like
is good.
It's like an
Until
X7.
you fucking drive one, sure. Yeah.
But you guys are in the business of making things better.
But the problem is sometimes you just don't want to make shit better, man. Like you just want to drive the shit that's good.
Let me find this other question. So username is, I believe it's Lona _the _ Lexus. Lucas
What?
Carbano.
Okay, low.
Lona.
The Lexus.
Uh,
It's Lucas Carbano, I assume. Carbano. I'm going to say it with a French accent. He said, "Hey, Ryan, loving the podcast. Listen to them all the day they come out," which is great. Thank you. I have 2 questions that I don't think have been asked. What car do you regret selling? Not for financial reasons, but you love and miss it. If you had a free spot in the garage and could get one car back for free, and never sell it, what would it be? And then 2, when you build, this is not a me question or a Gord question, so I apologize in advance, unless Gord secretly runs his own parts company.
I do.
He does.
He basically does.
I kind of do.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Perfect. All right. When you build new parts, do you build it to be the best part on the market and price it knowing it's the best thing out and know people will pay the boutique pricing because it's so good? Or do you set a price point and try to keep it under the number? Thanks for all the entertainment and quality parts. Keep it coming. Or keep it up, but keep it
good
coming.
question.
So, Gerard, when you sit down to design a part, does Kevin give you a budget and be like, do not go over this price? And you're like, all right. Or do you just let your mind wander?
Usually I feel like we still do definitely start with a price point because I've always kind of been with the mentality that like, I'm always about value. So like, I feel like I can take the most expensive part and offer more features for that same price, or maybe even, be so smart as to manufacture it in an innovative way that's cheaper than the most expensive part, yet offers more bang for your buck. And then, so it's basically like an absolute no-brainer to buy my part. But I do, however, feel that a lot of our newest like billet stuff is probably definitely going to be on the, top end of the scale, both in sort of like uniqueness, functionality, innovation, but also price. So
it feels like we design our parts to be the absolute best, but then sometimes from there we have to backpedal a little bit to make it reasonable, like like someone's not buying a $2,000 car and then buying a $4,000 control arm, and then they need to do every single other part on the car as well as like the motor and the and the body and the wheels and like if
right,
you gotta like know your audience.
You just take all the bejeweled off of it, and then that brings the price down. Like diamonds on this one. Yeah. Gord, what do you do for a living? I don't even know what you do for a living. I just assume you drive cars and tell me to get a therapist. So
go skiing.
Yeah, skiing. Actually, that's really therapeutic as well. So I am a project manager in a metal shop in Delta.
Project manager?
We're projecting. And can I tell them what I do for you guys?
Yeah, of course.
Until they started getting all the billet stuff, we would cut and form all of their arms from prototyping all the way through to production.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically we just send the parts over to their handy welder Dusty, and Dusty welded everything up. So yeah, I've been working with them prototyping, especially like the 161 that they just got made in billet, which looks super amazing. Started that forever ago, made out of like, I don't know, like 12 different little pieces that all get welded and formed. And it's been fun. So yeah,
Gordon's definitely part of the SerialNine family, just as much as Ryan.
Yeah, for sure,
Ooh.
for sure.
I'm just way in the background, just hanging out. So yeah.
But I mean, we wouldn't be where we are without Gordon. That's for damn sure.
Yeah,
Thanks, boys.
You
that
got
is
that.
also 100% true.
And you
Yeah.
got that profile picture with the t-shirt. So I dig that, you know.
Yeah.
Gordon was singled out by a Washington state sheriff and asked
Oh
to
my
censor
God.
his SerialNine shirt at a Formula D event, and nobody else. There's like
Just
15
me.
of us all walking around with the same shirt, and only he had to put tape over
I'm going to
his.
say this. If I was there with you, he
Yeah.
would have also asked me to do it. So Gord, you and I must be a lot of the same type of person. It's like if I'm downtown for like 2 minutes outside, someone will ask me for directions. Like I fucking
I thought you
know.
said someone's
I'm
going to ask
from
you
here.
for drugs.
For money.
No, but people have no problem.
You're just an
approaching
approachable
me.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, why aren't I more threatening? Why? I don't know where these things are. I don't want you to. But if I was downtown for like, honestly, like 10 minutes and someone was like, where's this building? And then I got to fucking act like I know. And then I had to figure out the addresses like I was doing. I didn't know where it was.
I mean,
And then I
you could,
sat
you know.
there.
You could
I
just say,
sat
I
there
don't
and-
know.
I know you could just say,
No.
I'm sorry, man. I don't know.
He's a people
my
pleaser.
need-
You can't.
My need
People
for
pleaser.
approval overrides that. And I'm like, let me figure out this problem for you. And then I sit with them for like a minute. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm over it. I hate it. All right. I think we've kind of
There was
answered
a
this.
first. Wasn't that like a first part of the? Wasn't there a first?
That
part
was
of the
the-
question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
well-
about to do it.
Oh, okay.
What
okay.
Sorry.
car have you owned? And I feel
I
like we've
forgot.
kind of
Yeah.
dabbled with this. And I like to think that I know the answer because I've talked to you guys for 1,000 hours. It feels
Oh,
like.
okay. Ryan should answer for all of us.
Okay,
So
Ryan, what
Kevin-
car? What car would I want to set?
Kevin, probably his not his 8.6, but like his older Corolla, the TE, but probably would be what he'd want back.
Yeah, I think I keep jumping between that and an X7.
And the cells. Oh, okay. And then I was also thinking maybe the Celsius.
Rating cell to
they're all so good, you know.
Okay. Gerard does not give a shit about any old car that he owns and only wants the next best thing. Like he'll give you an answer, but heart of hearts, he doesn't care about that thing. You know, he was sad about the Aristo for probably about 2.5 minutes, and then he was fine, it seemed like. And he didn't even like that car. And then all these other cars, like Gerard, I feel like if he's experienced a thing, is probably more content to move on to the next thing. But that being said, if he had to choose something that he kept, I feel like at one point you said maybe your what the fuck was your? We haven't talked about it in a while. Your muscle car that you had, your first car.
My muscle car?
Not
I mean,
your
he had a
muscle car, your
Cortina.
pony car. The Cortina. Maybe the Cortina you'd have a tie to? No.
The muscle
Honestly,
car
like
Pinto.
if no, probably not the Pinto either, or the Capri or any of that other shit. Yeah, I mean,
One
if
of
I
the
could have,
Cressidas?
I was thinking, I don't know, the yellow Cressida, but not really, man. Honestly, like if I could put a car back in the garage and I would just get it back like that, it'd be the Aristo for
The
sure,
Aristo, yeah.
100%, man. Like just to have
'Cause
that car.
it's-
Well, not
Yeah.
only that, like it got taken from me. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
didn't-
Yeah, it
You
wasn't your
didn't
choice.
choose to say goodbye to
Like, yeah, it was like
it.
if I
Yeah,
could get that car back and just have it in the garage and like,
yeah, I guess the Aristo makes sense. Also, there's probably the most money into the Aristo, and the
Yeah.
Aristo would be probably worth the most today.
yeah.
Due to stonks, that makes sense. Yeah, okay.
I mean, I think part of it too is I just wanted to kind of finish it in its final form with like the BN, and if I could, you know, lift up the BN 1.5 inches or whatever, but then have my wheels and then basically just make it look like how I wanted it to look in the final form. That would have been
Right.
really cool. Yeah.
Gord, I don't know any of the other cars that you've owned except for this GS 400.
I think I could
300?
tell. Look, I think I could tell you the cars, Gordon.
I could too. I
So-
could tell the car
Hey,
wouldn't want to
So
sell.
one thing about me is I don't ever get rid of them. I drive them till they die or get written off. Like
Okay.
I've sold 2. So
Oh, yeah.
Kevin, do you know which ones they are, Kev?
Which cars you've sold?
Well, which cars I've owned? I've only owned 5.
I think you like. I know you owned an Integra, and I think that was like a DA Integra, but it might have been the generation before the DA Integra.
It was a 93 GSR.
Oh, okay.
I can't believe you had a fucking GSR, dude. That DA
that was
GSR.
fucking dope.
Dude, you know how much
car.
money that car would be worth right now? Oh my god.
I bought it for $10,000.
And then he had an R32 GTS-T.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you had the GS 300.
Yeah.
And then the Astagia, and then the Odyssey, and then there's like a LeBaron convertible sprinkled in there with driving gloves.
Yeah,
I like that.
But,
all right. So what would he keep if he could pull one back? You guys can answer.
Yeah, the Skyline.
Yeah, it got. I'd pull that back. It got in an accident when I was in Alberta. An actual drug addict drove into the back and invented the B pillar. So kind of lost that car, which sucks.
Hey, do you guys know what car I would keep?
MX3.
I'm gonna say the S13.
Yeah, Kevin. Thanks for reading my diary. Obviously, I want nothing.
Dude, MX3. Come on.
The Celsior didn't really speak to you. The Aristo was like a better like mixture of the Celsior and the S13 in one. That was hopefully why you got it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Kevin gets me. Gerard, when I had it, it just seemed like it was either like invest a bunch of money in it or do another project. Like undo everything you've done and start like fresh, or do another project. And I mistakenly chose let's do another project. Anyway.
Let's do another project.
Hey, you guys, guess what?
What?
Hello, SerialNine and Dupe Logic.
No, I'm done.
I've got another one for you. So here's the scenario.
I can't even listen to Matt's voice.
You're at home. You've just finished a truly scrumptious meal of fresh rutabagas and deer sausage your friend slaughtered and ground up with his bare hands. You decide to relax and meander over to the couch, switch on the Xbox, and fire up Call of Duty. You begin a mission where you assault a small village that's been overrun by a fictitious group of Russian tracksuits. Before long, the vicious onslaught of 12-year-olds screaming racial slurs into your ears takes its toll, and you decide to play Forza. You hop in your favorite car and begin drifting a series of corners you've slid countless times before. But your entry speed, it's too hot, and you slither off the road into a muddy lagoon. You turn around with a well-executed J-turn and attack the corner once again. Although you've corrected your speed, now your angle is too high, and you've destroyed any chance of whipping the car back and hitting the line to connect to the next corner. You try again, and again, and again, and before you know it, hours have gone by. You're snapped out of your hypnotic stupor as your malnourished skeleton of a cat stumbles by, dazed and confused as your neglect of its food and water begins to take a terrible toll. You look at the clock. It's 2 a.m., and you've got to be up at 5 for a Zoom call with your Nigerian investment team. You go in the bathroom to brush your teeth. You look in the mirror at your wrinkled, haggard, disgusting face. As you stand there, naked and ashamed, looking at a face that not even your mother could love, you say, "Man, what the fuck am I doing with my life?" Okay, so my question is, if you could build a video game level drift car, like any car in real life, like a Suzuki Escudo, Pikes Peak level, Pagani Zonda, whatever, what would you build? Money is no object. You're not going to sell it. I've got a purple TVR Sagaris that I love. It's got an undrivable level of power, and it's definitely not the best drift car, but I think it's fully sick, and I love sliding it. All right, guys, take it easy.
All right, Matt Peterson with the question.
Wow.
Gord, because you're our guest, you can go first.
Drift car?
Anything. You can build a a rally car. You could build a drag car. You could drive just it's a video game car. So I guess like a touring car.
I mean,
circuit car, F1 car.
Oh, F1 would be nice. Or like a McLaren would be good. Honestly, mine's kind of lame. My favorite car, I think, almost ever, that's at least semi-attainable, is the Signal R34 GTR.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever, like, because we saw it at FD, and it was pretty sick. And ever since I saw that car rip down banners, it's kind of been my favorite car for like the longest time. So not exciting, but definitely up there for me, at least memory wise.
Makes sense for a Nissan owner who doesn't want to put an R34 front on his car.
Right.
Kevin, if you were to build a video game car, as Matt said, what would it be?
Honestly, like, I feel like I haven't played any car video games in so long that but like, I mean, car video games are just cars that exist, I guess. So like, I don't know. Like, I remember we just used to drift with the Vanquish, and like that was like so sick. It was just like such like a stately car drifting, like
maybe the V12.
Yeah, like what isn't to love about that?
All right.
I'll build it like a twisted metal car. How about that?
I was just gonna say, I was trying to think of the craziest possible thing in the entire world, and I was just like a void. It's not even a car. It's just a fucking a portal.
It has so much horsepower that it just
doesn't even.
It rips the universe in half.
Yeah, you don't even turn it
teleporter?
on. It's just there. I honestly, I don't know, man. Like money no object, video game level drift car. Like,
doesn't have to be a drift car, Gerard. Could do any.
But then what the hell's the use of it if it's not a drift car? Well, okay, so brings us back to that AMG. One of the cool things about that car is it's all-wheel drive, but then when you put it in race master mode, it's actually only two-wheel drive. It's drift mode. You put it in drift mode, and Mercedes thought that was a good idea. And it's funny because Audi thinks it's a really stupid idea. So the engineer of Audi is like, "Oh, we don't do drift mode. It's really dumb." And Mercedes is like, "Fuck yeah, drift mode, like two-wheel drive, like 600."
Your accents were so off for German people. It's
whatever.
Amazing.
But yeah, I don't know what I'd build, because it probably wouldn't be mid-engine. It'd have to be front engine, rear drive, or four-wheel drive, or whatever.
Just answer the question.
I have no idea, man.
You got a video
game. Okay. Here's I got it. I think I got it. It's probably gonna be Porsche Panamera e-hybrid with at least 1,000 horsepower plus the E. So it's some 1,300 horsepower Porsche Panamera e-hybrid wagon, wide body, just all the ridiculous, but it's still a wagon.
Oof.
And it's still electric, kind of.
Yeah.
So
that's good. My joke answer for this is I'd build a car from the video game Rock and Roll Racing. I don't know if any of you have ever played that game. It was like a video game where it was like a Super Nintendo game, and all the music was just like the guitar, like instrumentals from like rock and roll music from the 70s, but you drove pretty much like spaceship cars, and they had like rockets and shit on them, and like
that sounds cool.
And you would mod the car, like you'd get different tires, and then eventually the tires would turn into Rock and Roll Racing, and like you would choose a driver from like different planets, and you would drive on different planets, and when you upgraded your car, you could put like tank tracks on it, so it would have like, that was almost like the best level of grip and shit. It was like very funny. And every time you passed the finish line, because you would do laps, you would reload your missiles if you bought more missiles, so you could blow people up when you were driving.
Oh, dude,
that's my joke answer.
This fully just looks like the Iron Man off-road racing, but they just like added weapons into it or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, it's like,
and I loved it.
Looks like the same map and everything.
Yeah. you want obscure Nintendo or Super Nintendo games, come talk to me. I'll talk to you about Looney Tunes basketball, rock and roll racing. Real answer, when I heard it, the first thing that came to my mind was a Z, like a 240Z with an RB26, like twin turbo engine in it is what I would build, because that's what I actually built in Forza and then could not drive anything because I was like, I'll just put this engine in and all the power upgrades, and I couldn't drive that car to do anything. It would just like take off.
I did enjoy driving the V8 supercars as a drift car in GT3 or whatever the hell that was as well. I always thought would be a cool drift car was like an Australian supercar, but like with bigger wheels to make it look cool.
Like a Ute. Would you get a Ute?
I don't know. It's like a Holden, whatever. Or
I just wanted to say Ute.
I love
think Utes are crap. I hate them.
With the V8 supercars, I really like the Ford Mondeo. That thing was always awesome.
That's not a supercar, Mondeo. I think you're talking about the Falcon.
No, wasn't it? I thought the Mondeo was in the V8 supercar.
I mean, maybe I didn't know, but it's definitely a front-wheel drive car. So maybe they just completely converted. Actually, that's true because the Nissan was an
Sentra
Altima.
or Altima.
Yeah, so you're probably totally. Yeah, I would take an Altima, Nissan Altima V8 supercars, because that's got the VK56, bro. Yeah.
Gordon, you got anything else you want to say?
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
Sure. Yeah. No. I honestly just want to say thanks for having me on. This has been fun. It's been enlightening. It's always good to kind of catch up with friends and touch base and just kind of bring it all back. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for having me, and I'm excited to see what you guys do on the next episodes and years to come, and kind of just watch you guys excel with what you do.
I pictured Kevin on an Excel spreadsheet just then. He's excelling.
Just soaring on Excel.
Yeah. Formulas. Yeah. All right. Sorry. That was very nice and I ruined it. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
No,
I just just hope it did okay. And yeah. No,
you did great. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It's good to have you on, man.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
If you or anyone you know is suffering from mental health issues, we encourage you guys to reach out to anyone in your area who might be able to help you with that. And just know that people are here for you, and we care about you.
I think that was good.
That was good.
Maybe sounded a bit like a commercial, but
that's fine.
Isn't that what you wanted?
Yes.
No, I guess. I wanted it to come from us as we appreciate you.
I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, bye guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Gordon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Serial Podcast 9.